The baker who started at 55. They say success belongs to the young, that if you don't make it by 30, you've missed the train. But dreams don't check your age. They wait quietly, like dough rising under a cloth, until one day, you remember who you are. This is the story of Kate, a woman who thought her best years were behind her, until she decided to turn on the oven one more time. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Pillow. Stories to fall asleep with and wake up believing again. Kate was 55. Her hands were steady but worn, her heart still full of flavors. For more than 30 years, she'd worked as a cleaner. Hospitals, offices, schools, always behind the scenes. Always the one who made everything shine for others. But every night, after work, she baked. Muffins for her kids, cakes for her neighbors. And sometimes, when no one was home, she baked just to remember what happiness smelled like. Vanilla, butter, cinnamon. Those were her favorite words. Everyone told her, "You should open your own bakery someday." And she would smile and say, "Maybe when life gets easier." But life never got easier. The bills kept coming, the years kept passing, and someday kept drifting farther away. Until one evening, while washing dishes, she saw her reflection in the window, tired, older, but still dreaming. She dried her hands and whispered to herself, "If I don't start now, I'll die waiting for the perfect day." Kate started small. She didn't have a business plan, just a second-hand oven that leaned slightly to one side. Her kitchen became her factory. The countertop was full of flour, sugar, and unpaid bills. Her phone timer beeped while she ironed uniforms for extra income. She baked her first batch of cupcakes at dawn. Her hands trembled as she held the tray. They weren't perfect, a few burned at the edges, but they smelled like courage. She sold them door to door around her block. 5 neighbors bought them, 1 refused, another smiled and said, "They taste like home." That night, she earned $12. It wasn't much, but it was hers. The following weeks were chaos. The butter spoiled in the heat. The frosting curdled. And once, she left a batch in the oven so long, her kitchen filled with smoke and the alarm screamed louder than her. She laughed and cried at the same time. Then she took a deep breath, cleaned the counter and whispered, "Mistakes mean I'm baking." Not dreaming Kate didn't have YouTube ads or influencers. Her customers were neighbors, teachers, bus drivers, people who loved how her cakes felt honest, like a hug with sugar. She began leaving handwritten notes in the boxes, made with love, not machines. After 2 months, she saved enough to rent a tiny stand at the Saturday market. She painted her sign herself, crooked letters, pink background. It read, "Kate's Oven." The first Saturday was a disaster. The frosting melted under the sun. The wind blew her napkins away, and her chair broke mid-morning, sending her tumbling backward. Everyone laughed. Kate did too. She stood up, fixed her hair, and said, "Well, at least my cakes don't fall apart." By noon, she had sold only 2 cupcakes. She almost packed up early, but a little boy walked by. He stared at the last chocolate cupcake and asked, "Is this one for me?" She smiled. "It is now." He ran home and minutes later came back with his mother. The woman bought a dozen. That day, Kate learned her first real business rule. Kindness sells faster than marketing. Some days the market was full, some days it was empty. She would sit quietly, watching people pass by, wondering if she'd made a mistake starting so late. She saw young entrepreneurs with shiny logos and social media ads. Meanwhile, she had paper boxes tied with yarn. But one morning, as she handed a cupcake to a teenager, the girl said, "These taste like my grandmother's house." Kate smiled softly. "That's exactly what I'm baking. Memories." One afternoon, heavy rain flooded the market. The tarp above her stand ripped open. Water poured onto her table, ruining half her batch. Her cakes floated away like little boats. She sat there, drenched, exhausted, holding the last box. For a moment, she thought about quitting. Her joints hurt. Her savings were gone, and the oven at home was starting to fail. But then she remembered something her mother once told her. "You can't control the weather, only whether you keep going." The next day, she baked again. Same recipe, same spirit. But now she added one new ingredient: resilience. A week later, she received a surprise visit. Her neighbor, Rosa, a retired teacher, said, "Kate, you should sell online. My granddaughter can help you." Kate blinked. Online? Like, on the internet? Within a month, Rosa's granddaughter made her an Instagram page. They took photos with a phone and posted stories of each flavor. At first, Kate didn't understand how hashtags worked. But soon, messages began to arrive. "Can you make one for my mom's birthday? Do you deliver to the next town?" Her kitchen once again overflowed with dough, laughter, and light. One morning, the owner of a small coffee shop messaged her, "I've seen your cakes online." "Let's collaborate." Kate began delivering fresh pastries every morning before sunrise. The smell of butter trailed behind her bicycle as she rode through quiet streets. The cafe became her biggest client. She didn't make millions, but she made meaning. Her hands had calluses. Her back ached every night, but her heart finally felt full. Months later, Kate stood in her kitchen at 2 a.m., packing cupcakes for the next day's orders. Her radio played softly. The oven hummed like a heartbeat. She looked around, the same kitchen where she used to sigh and regret. Now it smelled like second chances. She thought of all the years she'd waited for someday and smiled. Because someday had finally come, disguised as today. If you're listening to this tonight, maybe you think it's too late. Too late to start. Too late to dream. Too late to begin again. But remember Kate, the woman who turned her fear into flour and her hope into heat. Dreams don't expire. They just wait for you to preheat the oven. You don't need perfect timing, just willing hands. You don't need a big start, just a small flame. Because success isn't about how fast you rise, but about having the courage to rise again. Sleep well, dreamer. And tomorrow, may your life smell like something freshly baked.